Windstar is a wiry brown tabby she-cat with yellow eyes. She was originally named Wind and lived with her mother and sister until a sickness claimed both of them when a leaf bare. After that, a Tom named Branch took care of her, and she expected that they would become mates one day. That changed when she was badly injured by a dog. Branch caught a rabbit for her, but left her on her own after that, possibly to die or be permanently lamed. She bitterly vowed that she wouldn't trust another cat again. When Greenleaf came, she met a Tom named Gorse, but she still wasn't interested in companionship. During a storm, the two of them saved a kit from a burning lightning-struck bush, and afterward he brought her to his den to shelter from the rain. And unlike Branch, he didn't abandon her, but came back and continued to care for her. The two of them were inseparable after that and became mates, living out on the moor. Wind developed the skill to hunt rabbits in their burrows. A group of cats from the mountains came to settle on the moor, and it wasn't long before Wind and Gorse met them. They didn't have a favorable impression of them at first, viewing them as prey stealers, especially when one of them, Greywing, accidentally collided with Wind when they were chasing the same rabbit. The second time they met him was more peaceful. He saw Wind running into the tunnels, and asked her to show him how, though he wasn't as good at it as Wind was. The third time, Greywing invited Wind and Gorse to the mountain cat's camp, and they shared the hare they caught and started to befriend the newcomers. They continued to hang out with the mountain cats, while meanwhile hunting grew tense in the area due to cats developing territories and borders. Wind and Gorse saved Jagged Peak's life when they rescued him from a collapsed tunnel. They asked to join the Moor group after this, but the group's leader, Tall Shadow, wasn't ready to welcome them in yet. Later, the Moor cats decided that Wind and Gorse should have longer names to fit in with them better. They gave Wind the new name Windrunner for her speed, while Gorse became Gorsefur. Although she wasn't a full member of the group yet, Windrunner often took charge of situations, and Greywing thought that she might be an efficient leader if given the chance. Tensions with Clear Sky grew, and Windrunner was particularly suspicious of him, especially after the deaths of the loner Misty and the kitty pet Bumble. She started training the Moor cats to fight, much to the dismay of Clear Sky's son, Thunder. Windrunner soon became pregnant with kits, and offered to leave so as not to be a burden, but the Moor cats insisted that they would treat the kits as their own, and formally welcomed Windrunner and Gorsefur to the group. Windrunner's kitting was difficult. 4 kits were born, but sadly one of them, Ember Kit, didn't survive his first day. Clear Sky and his cats ended up attacking Greywing, Tall Shadow, and Thunder at Fortrees, and despite her kit's young age, Windrunner insisted on coming to Fortrees to fight so that the kits would have a safer future. After the battle, the spirits of the recently lost cats appeared and told the cats that they must unite or die. Windrunner was briefly reunited with Ember Kit, knowing now that he was safe with Turtletail. She still grieved for him, however, and became extra protective of his littermates. Sadly, she wasn't able to protect her kits from sickness, and she lost a second kit, her daughter Morning Whisker. After this, she decided to leave the Moor group with her family. She believed that if she had never joined them, perhaps her kits would still be alive. She and Gorsefur set up their own camp with their remaining 2 kits, Moth Flight and Dust Muzzle. Although she initially just intended to make a safe home for her family, they took in an injured she-cat named Slate, and Windrunner began to be open to the idea of forming her own group. Still, she didn't want to get involved in the troubles in the forest, and it took some convincing to get her to join with the other groups to fight the vicious rogue, One-Eye. The spirit cats gave a sign that the local cats should grow and spread like the blazing star, which meant that they needed to split into 5 groups, like the flower's 5 petals. Windrunner's group was counted as one of the 5. Their numbers continued to grow, with Minnow, Reed, Spotted Fur, and Greywing joining them. It wasn't long until another rogue began to cause trouble for the 5 groups, though. Slash and his rogues took Clear Sky's pregnant mate hostage, and Windrunner once again wasn't too thrilled at the idea of helping him, but she agreed because the lives of the unborn kits were at stake. They rescued Starflower, although she went into labor during the escape, and Windrunner helped with the kitting. The rogues regularly attacked the group's hunting parties afterward, including Windrunner's. Together, the groups came up with a plan to fight him, and Windrunner and Gorse taught the others a tactic they developed while hunting rabbits together. Slash left the weaker rogues behind after dogs attacked his camp. Windrunner reluctantly let them shelter in her camp while they figured out what to do, and she ended up keeping a few of them, Bee, Fern, and Willow, while the others were sent to the other groups. Bee turned on them, but Fern and Willow stayed true. Windrunner was distrustful of them regardless, but Greywing pointed out that trust would come in time after opening her heart to them, so she allowed them into her group, with the new names Fernleaf and Willowtail. During the ceremony, Slash had his cats attack Windrunner's camp. One of Slate and Greywing's kits was kidnapped, but they were able to rescue him. As the kid arrived home, Greywing lay dying, his breathing problems having finally caught up to him. With his final breaths, Greywing and his kits gave the groups names. They were now clans, and Windrunners would be named WindClan. Windrunner grieved for her lost friend. Over the next few moons, Windrunner began to grow increasingly impatient and critical with her daughter, Moth Flight. The young cat was easily distracted, which resulted in tasks not getting done, prey being missed, and even Slate and Greywing's kits going missing once. Meanwhile, Moth Flight admired her mother, but also felt bad about not living up to her strict expectations. It all came to a head when Moth Flight was distracted on the Thunder Path and was nearly hit by a monster, with her father Gorsfur just barely rescuing her. Windrunner snapped that the clan would be better off without Moth Flight, and her daughter ran off. Although she had been upset with her, she also worried for her daughter's safety and feared that she'd die on her own. Moth Flight returned a few days later at a gathering. She explained that while she was gone, she'd spoken to the spirit cats, who had told her that each clan should have a medicine cat to heal their clanmates and speak to the spirits, who were now known as Star Clan. Windrunner wasn't sure at first if Moth Flight had simply been dreaming, but she quickly came to accept what her daughter was telling her and spoke up in her defense. Windrunner apologized to Moth Flight for the way she'd been treating her. Afterward, Windrunner was supportive of her daughter, and even decided that she deserved her own den to reflect her important status as the clan's medicine cat. She comforted Moth Flight when her mate, the Sky Clan medicine cat Micah, died. Moth Flight spent some time away with Shadow Clan to work through her grief, and when she returned to WindClan, Windrunner was relieved to see her daughter, and surprised to see that Moth Flight was now expecting kits. When the time came for her grandkits to be born, she helped with her daughter's kitting. Tensions grew regarding the border between WindClan and Sky Clan. Windrunner wanted to shun Sky Clan after they closed their borders, and when Clear Sky took Moth Flight prisoner in response, Windrunner led an attack on the Sky Clan camp. During the fight, her leg was broken, and she received a bad neck wound from Clear Sky. And it all turned out to be for nothing. The whole thing was set up by Windrunner's clanmate Willowtail in an attempt to get revenge against one of Clear Sky's clanmates, Redclaw, from something that had happened before they joined the clans. Willowtail died of her wounds during the fight, and Windrunner was brought back to camp. Windrunner's wounds became infected, and Moth Flight knew she would likely die. Then she received a sign that she should bring her mother to Highstones. Gorsfur didn't want her to do that, since he thought Windrunner was too weak, but Windrunner had the strength to tell him that she trusted her daughter and wanted to go. Her neck wound reopened on the way, but they made it to the Moonstone. Here, they were visited by Star Clan. Greywing explained to Moth Flight that they couldn't save this life of Windrunners, but they had a gift to give her, and they proceeded to give her 8 more lives, from Greywing, Clear Sky's cat Petal, Turtletail, Windrunner's former companion Branch, Willowtail, her kits Morning Whisker and Emberkit, and the former tribe leader, Half Moon. At the end of the ceremony, Windrunner succumbed to her wounds, but as Moth Flight watched, the wounds healed, and she came back to life. StarClan explained that she was the first cat to receive their gift of 9 lives, and a new name, Windstar. A new role called Deputy came to be formed in the clans, cats who would advise their leaders and make sure the clan was protected if anything happened to them. Windstar chose her mate, Gorsfur, as her deputy. When Shadowstar accused Quickwater of trying to murder her, Windstar wanted to hear both sides of the story, and after doing so, decided that she believed Shadowstar. Shadowstar confided in Windstar that she was on her last life, and Windstar stood with her when it came to battle. Windstar eventually lost all her 9 lives, and her mate Gorsfur succeeded her as leader. Her legacy would live on in more ways than one, however. Due to her daughter Moth Flight giving up her kits to the other clans, Windstar had descendants in all the clans, including WindClan. Countless seasons later, the WindClan deputies Ashfoot and Crowfeather were still descended from her. WindClan also told stories of their founder. One of them was about Wind and the other founders trying to claim leadership after the Battle of Four Trees, while another claimed that the WindClan camp was formed when she reached down from StarClan and scooped Earth from the moor. Due to the clan's long memory of her, Windstar's spirit remained in StarClan for many long seasons. When the Dark Forest rose, Midnight the Badger met with the founders of the clans, and Windstar accused Midnight of having made a mistake when she shared her knowledge with Sol. The founders didn't know what they could do to help their clans now, but the clans lived on regardless. Windstar became a legend among cats as the founder of WindClan and the first leader to gain 9 lives. As long as her clan survives, her legacy will live on.